Hey guys, I'm Chris Buck and a very warm welcome to Friday Fretworks. And this week we're going to be taking a closer look at something which, for the sake of argument, I'm going to call the forgotten Stratocaster sound. If you hadn't guessed from the introduction, that is of course the middle pickup. Now, of course, nobody's actually forgotten about the middle pickup. I would say that if you're anything like myself, you probably get quite a lot of use out of it. However, again, if you're anything like myself, those times tend to be confined to when I'm using it in conjunction with either the bridge or the neck. Positions 2 and 4 that we all know and love on a Strat. However, what you might not know is that the actual 5-way switch wasn't introduced until 1977, meaning that some 23 years of the Stratocaster's life had passed since 1954, where, aside from jamming bits of card or matchsticks, as people famously would, into the pickup selector cavity to achieve those in-between positions, it was only position 1, 2 or 3 that were readily available. I've managed to unearth this cool little bit of history in the shape of a Stratocaster owner's manual taken from 1954, the year of its introduction, and it's a great insight into how Leo Fender actually envisioned the 3 pickups being used. The neck pickup was referred to as the rhythm pickup, intended for deep, soft rhythm work, and the bridge, as the lead pickup, needless to say, was designed for lead work. It was, however, the lowly middle pickup that was actually dubbed the normal tone pickup, intended for straight rhythm work. Now, this may go some way towards explaining why a lot of the Stratocaster players that were known for using that middle position came from an era when these were really the only 3 choices that were available. Now, you could actually make a very strong case that the most influential Stratocaster player of all time may not be the name that you would think of first. Buddy Holly was the first big musician to adopt the Stratocaster as his chosen instrument, needless to say, not only inspiring generation after generation of musicians that would follow, but in the immediate aftermath, a hell of a lot of musicians who wanted to get their hands on a Stratocaster for the first wave of rock and roll. Now, it's kind of fitting that one of the few photos which is high enough resolution of Buddy Holly to make out any detail, you can see as primarily a rhythm player, there he is jammed firmly in the normal tone pickup or the straight rhythm pickup. By comparison, 3 years later in 1961, in this rather bizarre bit of footage of Cliff Richard actually playing the lead guitar part from the Shadows hit Apache in place of Hank Marvin, needless to say, he's playing a lead guitar part, and there he is wedged firmly on the lead pickup. Fast forward to 1970, and Derek and the Dominos, aka Eric Clapton and Duane Allman, released Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs. Now, listening to the isolated guitar part taken from the title track, I'm pretty convinced that Eric's guitar part on that track is actually recorded entirely on the middle pickup. This is again kind of backed up then by the fact that for the last 3 or 4 decades, irrespective of whether he's using Blackie or his later signature model from Fender, Clapton pretty much exclusively plays Layla on that middle pickup. Another prolific middle pickup user is, of course, Robin Trower, whose most famous track, Bridge of Sighs, is an absolutely amazing example of just how good a middle pickup on a Strat can sound through a Crank Marshall and a Univibe. As I said, it's no surprise to see a lot of the players who are such fans of that middle pickup sound came from a time when you only really had 3 options on a Strat, and I guess that kind of increases the likelihood of people actually being a fan of its sound. It's no surprise in that respect to see the likes of Lowell George, or Jerry Garcia, Bonnie Raitt or Jimmy Vaughan. As I said, there's a lot of people who are known for that sound. However, in 1977, with the introduction of the 5-way switch, the sound of the middle pickup in isolation seems to have fallen into obscurity for whatever reason. It's worth worth mentioning as well that one of the most prevalent Stratocaster users of the 70s and 80s, Ritchie Blackmore, actually went so far as to disconnect his middle pickup, preferring just to have the option of kind of rhythm or lead in that respect. And obviously there's exceptions to this, and you've only got to look more recently to guys like John Mayer. It's a great clip here from a track Helpless a few years ago in 2017, where you can really see him getting a lot of use out of that middle pickup sound on his 1964 Stratocaster. Interestingly, in researching this video, I came across a handful of threads online fiercely and fruitlessly debating the idea of which pickup position Mark Knopfler recorded Sultans of Swing on. Now, you've only got to look at any bit of live footage from Mark Knopfler's solo career, or indeed Dire Straits, to see that more often than not he relied on position 2, the middle and the bridge, to try and recreate that studio tone. However, in listening to the isolated master tracks, I can see where this ambiguity has come from. It's a very kind of wiry and very trebly sound that, to me at least, doesn't sound particularly position 2-esque. So I would say in that respect, it's at least worth sticking a tenor on it actually being the middle pickup in isolation. Couple then that with the fact that Mark Knopfler famously preferred the 3-position switch. Obviously, this was the switch that was actually in his guitar that he recorded Sultans of Swing on. Mark Knopfler famously quoted as saying, "I like the 3-way switch better than the 5-position. It had a better sound, but I kept knocking it out." Now, in light of this, as much as the studio take might have actually started life as position 2, who's to say it wasn't accidentally knocked to position 3, or just the middle pickup in isolation at some point during the session? As I said, short of actually being able to ask Mark Knopfler, maybe worth at least a tenor on it. So why am I making this video? Honestly, I'm as guilty as anyone when it comes to forgetting about the middle pickup. It's not as strident or as forthright as the bridge. It's not as deep and as rich as the neck. And you certainly can't get those glassy bell-like tones that we know and love from 2 and 4. In that respect, it's kind of hard to see what it's got going for it. But honestly, in shooting this video, it's just reminded me how cool a pickup it actually is. It's also, of course, worth remembering any number of rock's most celebrated and loved tracks were, of course, recorded and written on that middle pickup. And if it wasn't for Buddy Holly cutting That'll Be the Day in 1957 on his normal tone pickup, who knows what music would sound like today. As ever, I'm Chris Buck. Thank you very much for watching. I shall see you next week for another Friday Fretworks. Cheers, guys. Take care. See you soon.